Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spoilers. Obviously, I'm your host, Joel, and with me today, the one and only, the Moses Moon.
It's I, the Moses Moon. Hello, everyone. Hello, Joel. What's up?
Good, good. How are you, man?
Oh man, I'm doing fantastic. Just
Yeah.
absolutely great.
How are the high holidays treating you?
Well, I would say they're treating me just fine. I didn't really fully celebrate them as I was traveling the world, but one could say the mitzvah was in the traveling and just seeing God's good green earth. So, what can I say?
Nice, nice.
How did you? Some call? Did you fast easy?
Yeah, I fasted. I did not go and to Davin or anything. I just stayed at home reading my Hobbit book.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how I spent my Yom Kippur reading my book within the 25 hours of fasting, and not including the hours that I was sleeping. I have read about between 70 to 100 pages within one day, which is personally for me that's a lot. But I got
That
to
is a
the
lot.
but I got to the chapter Riddles in the Dark with Smeagol.
Ooh, it's
Yes.
so much fun to read.
Yeah. I'm like
Like,
I'm so excited. It is one of the books that I'm having a hard time letting go and like putting it down.
yeah. Oh, it reads quick though, so
It does. It really does, which really surprised me. But yeah.
mm, I
Um
like it.
yeah, that's me. So
I
shall
love it, man.
we shall we get into thy episode?
Oh, let's do it.
Well then, today we are going to talk about Game of Thrones House of the Dragon
Hot
episode
D.
season 1 episode 7, which
Ah,
is
yeah.
which is called Driftmark, if I'm not
You're
mistaken.
correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
I
A
have to
lot.
say, yeah.
Go for it. No, I was just saying a lot happens there. That's it.
Yeah,
Go.
a
You
lot a
have to
lot
say. What do you
happens.
have to say? Tell the world.
I was about to say I have to say a lot happens in this episode, and I could be mistaken, but I don't think I am. My point of view, this is by far the best episode so far. Oh my
Mm.
god.
On what accounts? On what do you weigh that this is the best episode?
Well,
I mean, I'm
first
not in agreement. I just want to know.
first of all, seeing the dragon and how huge he is, for me was like, oh my god, like we actually get to see his full body. So like, holy shit, the size of that thing.
Especially compared to a kid.
Exactly, exactly. And then basically, um, all the fight that happened right after the kid got the dragon and how he, spoilers, lost his eye, and basically how
And
Damon
just
and
lose
Ren,
it. It got fucking served on a plate to him.
yeah,
Not literally. I mean, that would happen in this kind of show, but like, oh,
yeah.
goddamn.
But then the most amazing twist at the end of the episode, which was for me like, holy shit, what the fuck? Which in the books, it doesn't happen that way. In the books, he actually does die. They do say he's dead. But it was amazing how they changed it over here.
Yeah, I thought that was appropriate. I didn't catch it at first. I was like, wait, what? Is that who I think it is? But at the same time, I was like, good. Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of the episode?
As a whole, I have to say, that, like, there is a type of fantasy because you can play and read and you have very particular likes of fantasy, but this is like high political fantasy. And this episode leaned very heavily into some of the political like confrontations. And but at the same time, like this one was really genuine. Everybody's like heart and character came out, and there's some like nitpicks that I have with it, but in all, it was a fantastic episode. I like it's like forcing everybody because of the situation to sit in one room and just let all that's been festering for the last few years kind of like boil over. And I found that completely amusing. I thought the acting was top notch on this episode. And in particular, I like I've been rooting for the kid to get a dragon. I just didn't think he'd take that one. I did find that very insensitive. However, I was surprised, and this is my nitpick. I was surprised that at the confrontation of the children, that afterwards in the hall and like letting the king hear what was going to happen, that it boiled down to like he called us bastards and da 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 da. And but that they didn't go for the fact, like they didn't make an issue of the Vader, what's his name?
Vega, if I'm not mistaken, the dragon.
Yeah, that got a new writer. Like that seems like a pretty huge deal. And that even the Valerians would the sea peoples would be
Um,
more
yeah,
uh
Valarians.
yeah, the Valerian, they would be like, yo, what the hell? My daughter was right. She does have a claim to it. But because I was looking for more consequence of that. However, like, fuck all was given, and I was like, all right, cool. Also, it was very uncomfortable watching again Rhaenyra hook up with her uncle. I like again, I was like, okay, fine, but like, fuck me, like, ugh, like why? But at the same time, I was like, okay, I get it. But then they kind of took care of all the issues that would be because her husband died, quote unquote. I thought that was interesting. But I do have another like issue I have with that is that like the guy just buckled down on the like I'm gonna be a better husband to you, and he seemed really genuine about it. And then the next scene, he was clearly like glued in on like this whole plan, and then he's off rowing out with his lover. I mean, cool, but at the same time, it's like, what the fuck? I thought there was going to be a little more tension, a little more drawn out between like Rhaenyra and her husband, like Laenor, like having a better connection and raising the children and teaching them. I thought, because you know how like when the boys are all training in the square together, that there'd be camaraderie, but now they've separated, and now Laenor would teach his sons, quote unquote, to fight like him, and he's an astound warrior. He's not like a fool. He's interesting. He may have his habits, but that's you know altogether not the point. But no, that's how it was all off. So now we get to see Damon how he's going to interact with the new stepkids, and yeah, I have so many questions. Like, is the next episode going to be like a time jump? Are they we picking off where we left off? What kind of alliances and fallout and or build up are we going to have off this episode? Because there's so much potential, and this episode was definitely one of the ones that we've kind of been waiting for. But the pacing of the entire series so far has been led to this so beautifully, and I'm like, all right, I'm all for it. Like I'm good. So yeah, I would say maybe eight out of 10 for me on this episode. I thought it was fantastic.
No, rating the episode very early.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I didn't mean to like. I'm not ending the show. I'm just saying that's like I want to. That's I'm just excited to state that like that's high praise coming from me.
Oh no, yeah, I totally agree. You know, I also agree. It is 8 out of 10. I I was like I wasn't on my toes, but I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, is the kid actually going to take the dragon, or is Sir Christian Cole going to listen to the queen when she says go take the kid's eye? And he's like, you see, he's kind of doubting, should I listen to my queen? She did order me to
Yeah.
take the kid's eye, but at the same time, I don't want to get into this conflict. So,
Hmm.
like, is he going to do it or not? And then he's like, I am ordered to protect you, not harm other people. So it's like, it was very interesting how finally throughout these episodes and kind of, through those 10 years, we finally have all this conflict, brewing up and exploding, and everyone is all together in one room and no one
Yeah.
can escape. Like, we are finally, everyone is going to face this big issue and we are going to address it. And how are
Mhm.
we going to deal with it? And I very much appreciated it because it's not something that we used to get in Game of Thrones. For example, in the original show Game of Thrones, how often did this kind of thing happen?
Just
Not that,
twice.
yeah,
Just
not that often, like twice.
yeah, and basically you could almost say once is with it at the very end where all the factions come together to learn about the threat of the North, basically. That is the one time that it happens. You can say it happens fragmatically throughout the season as different houses meet with other houses, but sparingly and like usually between one or two characters. So not like this at all.
Yeah, not like this at all, which for me was absolutely amazing and I really enjoyed it. I
Mm,
also very much got the vibes of season one of Game of Thrones when we have
mm.
Arya and the stool boy, whatever, practicing sword fights, and then you see Sansa and Joffrey come, and then Arya attacks Joffrey, and then you see that whole thing happening. Like the king tells Ned, like these are kids, we need to deal with them, and all that. And then later off, Ned kills one of the dire wolves. So that entire thing with the kids in this episode felt to me very much the same, which I
Reminiscent.
yeah, which I also very very much appreciated.
Again, my only nitpick is with that is just like the consequence of him taking her birthright as a dragon, kind
Yeah,
of like
so I also understand where you're coming from, and I agree with it. But the thing is, you know, there's nothing you can do because once the dragon basically imprints on you, he imprints on you.
yeah,
And to
but
be
like there was no lore building, world building where anybody made a comment about that other than she was my birthright. Well, you should have tried. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, like
like
the king didn't say anything. Nobody said anything. Like when the boy says, "I think it's a fair exchange. I got a dragon." He's right, a
he,
thousand times right.
yeah, he is. He's most definitely right, and I can't really argue with him. Like, this is Game of Thrones, and it's obviously it's not reality. It's not like real life, but a lot of real life things happen over there. If you want something to get done, get off your ass and go do it. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you, or don't wait for
True.
that event to happen. You know,
But there's
so
no point. Like obviously it's like I don't really care who gets the dragon, but I care because like I mean, I'm invested, and I'm like, but there's no time for children to grieve to try and like imprint with the dragon. Like, what the hell? But this kid with ambition comes up, and then no one was like, hey, he wants a dragon. He's probably gonna try. Maybe you should try bonding first. Or
yeah, no,
to be honest, I thought the scene on the beach where he was going, like, obviously he wanted the dragon, and I clocked that, but my reminiscence to season one was when Brandon sees Mr. Lannister and his sister Cersei getting it on, and I was like, "Oh, is he gonna wander in on Rhaenyra and Daemon?" But no, he was hunting a dragon.
yeah, but no, I do agree with you. They should have made like one small comment about that he took the dragon, but at the end of the day, it's night.
There was
Um,
probably like cut scenes from that because like when they're like tell the story, it
yeah.
wasn't complete. It wasn't like he took the dragon, I wanted it, and then we got into a fight, and then he called us bastards, and we're defending our honor. Plus
Yeah.
minus, like it was just like he called us bastards. It's like, what? Really? Did no one see that he took a dragon?
Well,
that, but whatever.
yeah. Well, what can I do? What do you think of the king in this scenario? Because we see like the kids, they come and say like they called us bastards, and then the king goes to his son and ask him like, "What did you hear this lies and these rumors?" and he looked at his mother, Alicent, and the king looks at her, and then he's like, Aegon. It's like, why the fuck are you framing your older brother? Like, yes, I can understand, like, he's making fun of you for not having a dragon, but he's teasing you. That's what siblings do. But then you can see how one, he's not afraid of his father at all. And then the king goes to Aegon, his firstborn son, and Aegon is kind of cowering over. It's like, I'm sorry, whatever. And the king like all pissed at him and shouting at him, and Aegon is basically taking it. And then he asks him, like, what did you hear of these rumors? And like looking down onto the floor, just look at them. So it's very interesting how, according to the books, or you could say the spoilers we got from Joffrey and the original Game of Thrones, Aegon is going to kill Rhaenyra with his dragon. And yet over here we see Aegon is kind of a pussy compared to his younger brother, who's a total fucking badass.
I mean, that scene was particularly tense. I wasn't quite sure whether those looks were looks of admittance or looking for like something from their mom. Because I think it's both. I think they're because they both kind of looked glanced over at Allison, and the king already knows. He already knows. But I think the king, it's interesting. He's, how would you say, a weaker man per se, because he's just trying to do the right thing and like try to be keep keep things like together because that's all he wants. It's like the one person in a very toxic family just saying like, why can't we just be at peace, as opposed to being like, hey, we have issues that we need to resolve. And in particular, I think Aegon was a big wimp slash pussy because he didn't admit his mother, but he just look at them, kind of deal. So basically, I totally agree with you, man. Like, I honestly thought the looks to their mother was like a bit of like trying to admittance and or affirmation, but I think it was both. And obviously, the king clearly knows like where the sources are from and or like understands that Alicent has something to do with it. But that's not the point. And Aegon's this wimp of a character who just bows to the rumor itself. But I mean, you are being questioned by the king, and you are not feeling 100%. So I don't know. But the king himself, like, he is like the well-meaning guy in a dysfunctional family who's like, can't we all just have peace, as opposed to recognizing and being like, look, I can't we all have our issues and we need to work them out. But at this moment, like, he's not as he's the guy crying out for like, just fuck. So let's stop all this, but you really can't. Um, so I have a huge amount of sympathy for him. He's a man who's broken down by his family and by the time and the weight of the kingdom. And like I said, acting 10 out of 10, like full props to all the actors and the guy specifically playing the king. He is awesome. Because that he can't be so stern, but he's just trying his best.
Yeah, he's definitely trying his best, and the actor, yeah, is doing an amazing job. The thing is, like, with what he said in the episode, he says, history does not remember blood; it remembers names. So it doesn't matter if they're bastards or not. They are family. We are all family. So get the fuck off of it and act like a family.
That
And
was that line itself was spoken by the, the not Lenore, but the king or the regent guy, the Mr. Dreads, married to
uh,
the queen who would have been.
yeah, the queen that would have been, yeah, the queen that would have been.
But
And
the point is still valid. Like he's saying, my alliance is going to be with what's going to be the strongest in the history of the name. And then her point is like I gave that all up. Like you're still pursuing it. So, but
yeah,
I mean, still the point remains. Like difficult. Like this is a very troubled family.
It is, and the Quinn that would have been, she said, like, I let this go like 10 years ago, and here you are still holding on to it. Look what we lost. We lost two of our kids. Like, is this really worth it? It's not. Like, well, back then she only lost the daughter, but then later they lost the other one, and but not really. But she says, like, it's not worth it. Just let it go. You are the one who's holding on to the past, rather than enjoying what we have and what we owe in our lives. And I agree. At some point, there's nothing you can do, and you should just let things go and let them play their course. But I want to mention something in the previous episode that was foreshadowing about the daughter, Alicent's daughter. So she is kind of crazy, and we can see that she's kind of crazy. She's holding like bugs. She's talking to bugs, and she's like, "This bug has many eyes, but he cannot see. He can walk, but he cannot see." I don't know, whatever. She's very
Yeah,
weird.
she's on rambles. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And there are rumors that she might be a witch. And we kind of saw a little glimpse of that in the previous episode when the little kid comes crying to Alicent, to his mother, and he says, like, they made fun of me, they gave me a pig, called him the pig dread and all that because I don't have a dragon. And then Alicent says, you will have a dragon. And immediately after she says that, the camera jumps to the daughter, and the daughter says, he will close one eye, as she's talking to the bug.
Oh, that's so true. I totally missed that. I was like, yeah, she's pretty. Oh, that's interesting. And then, yeah, and she's playing in this episode,
Exactly.
Dragons of Flesh, weave threads of whatever.
Exactly. She
Oh,
says a
that.
lot of things about dragons and
Oh,
fight. So, okay, so
that's clean.
we know for a fact she is powerful with magic and knowledge, but she is crazy at the same time. We also know that she's going to marry Aegon because they make fun of that. Like, Aegon is destined to marry her, and he says, like, but look at her, she's crazy. I don't want to marry her. Like, dude, it's your sister. You have to marry your sister. That's your tradition. But it
Keep
was
the
very
bloodline pure.
exactly, but it was very interesting how they showed us she is powerful, and I can't wait to see how in this episode what she said, what will happen with that,
Come
what
to
we will see.
fruition. I felt like it was like overtone of what the episode was about because of weavings and things of that nature. So, but that's so solid. That's such a good theory. I don't even think it seems very canon. Seems very real. Yeah, I look forward to seeing the fruitions of that too. My quick interjection about the lore, if you can recall to me, who was the last Targaryen in Game of Thrones who was in the Master of the Watch in the North? And because we haven't seen him yet, right?
Yeah, no, we haven't seen him. I forget his name. I think his name is also Aegon or something like that. It's the old guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this show takes place about 200 years before Game of Thrones.
Right.
To be actually, yeah, before Game of Thrones, which means, let's say, in Game of Thrones, the old guy is, let's say, in his 90s.
Yeah,
So
so he's gonna be a kid by like the either the end of the series
yeah,
or whatnot.
it depends how many time jumps they're doing, because I did see the trailer for the next episode, and it looks like they're going to do another major time jump. So the
It
kid
only
that
makes
has the dragon and he lost his eye, he's now an adult.
Yep.
I think he has a son. I'm not sure. I saw a picture of him next to another kid with a blonde hair. So
Mm.
that could be his son, or that could be his brother. I have no idea. I did not see Aegon at all in that episode, in that trailer.
Yeah.
But we do see how the power has shifted. Also, in this very episode, we towards the end of the episode, they kind of divided the groups. This is the High Tower group, and this is a Targaryen group. and we see the Targaryen group are all wearing black, and the Hightower group are all wearing green. So also a lot in the internet, people have been saying, "Oh, we have black versus green." So that's the thing now. But the thing is, we see how Rhaenyra also notices, like, that's it. I have no power over here because now they have the strongest dragon, and they have higher claims. Everyone is against us, and we are no longer in the inner circle anymore. Even though I'm next in line to sit on the throne, so she's like, okay, Damon, let's get married. You have a dragon. We need you in our team to make sure we can do this. And that's slowly we kind of see how these two houses, but also in the same time, they're one house because it's one family, are going to fall apart and break. And
Honestly, like just like when they finally got married, it was like, I think this is gonna happen because you said so. And I was like, oh, I recall that. But at the same time, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it actually happened. Like, oh fuck, what? The world is on fire.
yeah, the world is definitely on fire, and it's just getting even more, hot. We do know episode 9 is always the most oh my god episode in Game of Thrones. So if this episode was absolutely amazing in my books, I can't wait to see what episode 9 is going to be. Because they really surprised me with this episode. I did not expect it to be this good, and like also for season 1 of this show.
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of to be expected. You can't like just have it drag out. You need to catch people, and they're doing a fine job at this. Because I don't think anybody was willing to go through another season 1 of GOT. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now that we've established precedent and like what this can be, like GOT was its own thing where it's like you're going to find out that you love this. Just you wait. Whereas this was, all right, you already love this. Let's give you what you like. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm glad that this show is starting to stand on its own. And even though it's in the same world, you can come and say like it is not the same show at all. Like like put the time jumps aside, you can tell like okay, it is very much different, and they are doing their best to also um compete against Game of Thrones, but at the same time not overshadow, like be in the like lines, but at the same time very much surprise me at least with how they're doing everything. And since episode 1, I've been saying this is a really good show. I have been enjoying every single episode of the show since episode 1.
Mm-hmm. I concur. No, it's a solid show. There was never a point where I was like, it's a letdown. Like, it's been building steadily, and it's been everything that I want it to be. And they're taking it to places where I'm like, wow, I'm invested, and like this is only getting better. Like, it's can they carry on this fire? Can they deliver a satisfactory ending? We'll fucking find out. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying the ride.
Yes, so do I. Quick question. What did you think of Damon laughing in the funeral?
I had a hard time reading that, to be honest. I I think it's an interesting dynamic because he knew that he liked his wife. I don't know if he loved her per se, but when it talks like I think what he was laughing at was the, let's just say, almost the pointlessness of the poetic reimbursement of the desire of bloodlines. You know what I mean? Because the guy in his rant, and it's not even a eulogy, just ceremonial speech, but it was so adamant about blood and da da da. And I think that there is an irony that I wasn't fully aware of, or that I'm aware of that I just don't have the words to articulate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Um, it seemed fitting, like a little off key and off putting again, because it's like, huh. But at the same time, I don't know how to fully, let's just say, uh, like, I think it's just as jarring. I don't know. What are your opinions and thoughts on the matter?
Well, at first I was like, what the fuck? Why are you laughing? But then I was thinking, like, okay, every other person deals with grief in every different way. So I guess this is how he's dealing with the grief of his wife. Because we do see overall in this one season, he has 3 wives. One who is a whore who doesn't give a fuck about. Another wife that he himself killed that he also didn't give a fuck about. And this wife, we see he has kids. We see he's happy. Even later in this episode, he talks with Rhaenyra and he says, yeah, I was happy with her for a time, and out of all the wives he had, this is the only wife he actually stood by her the entire time, and he didn't leave her, he didn't badmouth her, and he tried his best to be a good husband and father. And so to see that he's laughing, it could be, for like, in my point of view, I am finally free, but at the same time I'm sad about what's happening, so I don't know how to deal with my emotions.
Hmm. I mean, it could be so. I'm not too entirely sure, as Damon's pretty clever, but I agree. He did care about his wife slash family. It'll be interesting to see how he treats the children in growing up, or how they will imply that he did.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good show, and I'm excited for episode 8 and 9.
Mm.
And I do want to announce that, I first of all, I do believe we basically talked about the entire episode more or less.
Indeed, 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but they did announce that they are doing another prequel show. It's right now is a rumor. They're doing another prequel show called 10,000 Ships. It's going to take place 1,000 years before Game of Thrones, 800 years before this show, and it's about the Princess Nymeria
Mm.
who discovered Dorne. So
Wow.
yeah, but not only that, they officially confirmed that they are doing a prequel to Jon Snow named Snow, and it's going to take place after Game of Thrones itself, which
And
should be released in late 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know how I feel about that. There's only so much I can take, Like, is it
I
by the same guys, or is it like
I don't know
someone
if it,
else's help project?
I don't know if it's the same guys. I personally don't think that the Jon Snow show is a relevant show to do, but with that in mind, I would love to see more shows about this world, because this world is amazing, and I am enjoying this ride as of right now.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, the mute button was being difficult. Uh, Westeros is a world that is well breathed in. That's why, like, when we went back into it, when we recognized it, and it felt familiar and it felt good, and you knew that they were doing it right.
Yeah,
However, I agree. I think Snow will be irrelevant, and especially like with the bad taste that GOT did leave, going back to that time phrase, because it has to be canon now, means that way they have to upstand with all the choices that happen, and then follow through with the story, and it's just going to be like, it's just not going to be to be reminded of that. Just personally, I don't want to see it, and I'd rather have them focus. I don't know who the them are, but at the moment, I'd rather them focus their efforts on Hot D and make it a solid show from start to end. But we shall see.
yeah, we shall see. Especially that they don't have any books about Snow. Like, all the other shows are based on books. The Jon Snow show will not be based on a book, so it's completely, let's create something. But yeah, I do believe we got to the end of our episode for today. I am your host Joel, and with me today, Moses Moon.
That's me.
I'm going to put all the links in the bio for my Hebrew podcast and Moses radio, Instagram links. We talked about Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, season 1, episode 7. Amazing episode. Give us 5 stars on Spotify and listen to all of our podcasts. We will catch you guys up on the next episode. Real spoilers, obviously. Bye.
Good night.